My YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at the chart for Lloyd Wright, who's a famous American architect, humanitarian. Um, if we look to the eastern horizon when he was born using the sidereal zodiac, not the western tropical zodiac, we would see the constellation associated with Libra rising at 25 degrees, and that becomes the most effective point of every house. Any planet like Saturn, like Mars, like Moon, like Sun, like Venus, Rahu, and Ketu that are within 5 degrees of that most effective point have a lot of impact in the chart. So we're going to look and see how the planets are operating. Then we'll look and see when they're operating, and the timing of events, and then we'll look at and see what could be done to improve the chart, or the remedies, basically. So first, we're going to look and see where the Multicono signs fall in the birth chart, and we see that they wherever they fall, they bring some life lessons that are to be worked on in this particular lifetime. So we have the first sign of Aries, ruled by Mars in the 7th house, so he's learning about partnerships. Then we have the 4th sign of Cancer, ruled by Moon in the 10th house, so learning about career. 5th sign of Leo, ruling the house of income and social connections, organizations. So he's learning about finances. 6th sign of Virgo in the 12th house. So that's losses and being detached. And then we have the 7th sign of Libra in the 1st house. So that gives, a lot of creativity to this person's life, learning about creativity. Saturn is also there, teaching about how to help other people, humanitarian things. And Saturn also is ruling Aquarius in the 5th house of creativity. So creativity through Venus and Saturn, a big part of this chart. And then we have the 9th sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in the 3rd house of entrepreneurial success through fine arts. So those are the things he's working on. Let's look and see how the planets are operating independently. We have Sun that is placed in the 8th house. So the 6th, the 8th, and the 12th house are the challenging houses. And whenever you have a Multicono sign there, like Virgo, that can be challenging in the chart. It's not challenging in so much in the natal chart, but in the transit chart, when it comes in close contact within 5 degrees of another planet, it can cause some challenges there. So, and then Rahu and Ketu are always going to be challenging. So, Sun is weak because it's placed in that challenging 8th house, and it is ruling the house of income. So it gives you income through Sun, organizational leadership skills, and it's placed in, also this house is the, wanting to be a humanitarian. It's he did have some, because it's weak, he did have some financial issues, and Sun represents father, so not good support from father. He had a very strong ego, and you see Mars is also there, giving him, being a little bit conflicted with other people. He had 3 marriages, and a very strong ego. And in fact, the book called Fountainhead by Ayn Rand is about him and his utopian vision for the world, and how he was very attached to his designs and didn't care what other people thought, etc. So then his moon is well placed, but weak, and it is ruling the house of career. So it says he can have a career through Moon, which is intuition, creativity, creating buildings. Moon is Cancer and Moon are connected to hospitality and buildings for the public. So he did that, and then there was good support from the mom. I think she did loan him some money to build a house at some point, and she was very instrumental in his career. Envisioned him being a very famous architect when he was a child, and gave him building blocks to kind of support that, creativity. Then weak, well placed Mars at 0 degrees. It is close to the most effective point, ruling the house of partnerships. So it is through the partnerships that he did gain some income through Lewis Sullivan, who was a very famous architect that he partnered with, and so that was a very supportive partnership. But it the partnerships were kind of up and down. So he had 3 marriages; they didn't survive, and he eventually started doing side work and didn't tell Mr. Sullivan about it, and so that partnership ended. Um, and Mars connects him to engineering and buildings as well. So the income through the partnerships that involved engineering and buildings. And let's see here. I did want to mention that the sun having to do with loss, or that's coming actually, Mars. So Mercury's next. So Mercury is weak and well placed, and it's ruling the house of losses and expenses and separations, placed in the house of good fortune. And so it gave him a very strong intellect. He was a very critical person. When Mercury's weak, it can be very critical. So he did have losses. I think he went bankrupt a couple times. And let's see what else about that. He had 7 children, so it's ruling. Let's see. Well, that's Saturn. Let's see here. Yeah. So this is also philanthropy, that 12th house, so connected to Mercury as well. He did do that. And that probably balanced out the Mercury being challenging. So like a remedy for Mercury being humanitarian, philanthropic. So then well-placed Venus, but weak, aspected by Saturn and Rahu. Rahu's afflicting Venus. So again, Venus represents wives. So 3 wives. And then, let's see here. Venus definitely gave him a lot of creativity, love for beauty. It's connected, Rahu gives desire. Venus is vehicles. I think he had something like 40 cars or something like that. Some of them he designed and built himself. A lot of luxuries of life that made him not very good with his finances. So let's see. But yeah, gave him good design abilities, creating beautiful things, and long life. I think Venus and Saturn were connected to, he lived a fairly long life. Venus, well placed, but weak as well, close to the most effective point, aspected by Venus, creating, connects him with the creativity. It's ruling the house of creativity and teaching. He taught, he had students, architecture students that were learning from him. And this is the house of children. So Jupiter is children, and Saturn is children. So ruling that house of children, 7 children. And then I think that Jupiter made him kind of headstrong and independent as well. Rahu and Ketu are always balancing the material and the spiritual. So his desire for money and his insights into creativity. I think the money part was not his strong suit. And So those are the main things there. Um, let's see here. Let's look at now. So Rahu and Ketu are afflicting 6 out of his 12 houses. So they're afflicting the income. 1, 2, 3. His success. 6, 7, and his creativity and his investments. 8, 9. His relationships. His good fortune, like that, and also this house here, the first house. So giving him some issues with all of those. He had to prop his desk and his chair up on a higher so that he felt more in control of other people when they came to see him. He had, his self-worth was in question. I think he was shorter than most people. Anyway, so many issues there. Let's look at the timing of events. He was born during a Venus period, so that became the root of the tree of life. So he strong desire for beauty, luxury, creating, and then the love of his life, who was actually his partner, but not he wasn't married to her, got murdered by a butler, and the Taliesin is their design studio, burned down twice. And that was during a Mars period. Mars was in the 12th house, so the end of the building, basically. In 1915, around that time, he designed Guggenheim and Tokyo Hotel, a lot of successes during a Jupiter period, Jupiter representing success in his chart. Got a divorce in a Mercury period, so ending, Mercury representing endings. Another fire in 1925 during a Venus period that was afflicted by Mercury. Mercury, again, the endings, losses. And he wrote a couple books, I think one in 23 and 1931, during a Jupiter period. Jupiter is publishing, writing. And he died in 1959 of abdominal issues, maybe cancer, during a Mercury Sun period. And you see here, Mercury and Sun are in the 8th house of death-like experiences. So what could we do to remedy the chart? So we'd want to do charities for spiritual institutions, help other people, Rahu, and then Mercury also helping children and doing humanitarian work. He did all of those. So he was providing some remedies for his chart. Then we want to strengthen Sun, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, and Mars. They could be done with gemstones, rubies, yellow sapphire, blue sapphire, diamond, red coral, pearl, or those colors, orange colors, white colors, yellow colors, blue colors. He was very much into paintings, and so a lot of those colors were probably helping, that he had those paintings around him were helping strengthen those planets. The best way to do it is a kavash, and you can see those on our website. They're called 5G pendants, a silver locket from Bali containing the Devata yantras representing those planets we want to strengthen in your chart, as well as paramagnetic material to protect you from 5G EMFs. So these are the main points of the chart. Hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, it's very, very accurate. If you'd like to get a reading, you can go to www.vastucreations.com under services. Or if you'd like to learn Vedic Astrology, you can go to American Institute of Vastu.com. We have 2 levels, and at the second level you can actually get certified so that you can utilize this as part of your career. Maybe you're a life coach or just want to help other people. So thanks again for listening. See us again next week.